Now, for some inside information, what's inside this? Anyone can tell me? It's a natural thing?
Well, it looks like a coconut.
It could be an elephant turd, couldn't it?
It could be. It isn't. This thing is actually a nut. Weirdly, the things inside it are not nuts, but the things inside it are familiar to all of us as nuts. This is how these grow. Here they are.
Oh, Brazil nuts.
Brazil nuts. They grow inside. These are actually seeds, but we call them nuts. Biologically, these are the seeds, and they grow inside this, which is the nut. They grow on top of the tree. They're very heavy. They fall down. They've been known to kill people. But it's a very strange life cycle they have, because this tree cannot be cultivated, so they're only wild. So it's only wild trees that produce these nuts, inside which are the Brazils. And they can only be pollinated by a very particular bee. And that bee will only be able to pollinate it if there is, in the area, a very particular orchid. So there's a really strange kind of chain of necessary life situations in order for us to get our purple quality street, essentially. There is something unique as well about the Brazil nut. As you probably know, there are people who are allergic to nuts, but the Brazil nut uniquely, amongst all the nuts, and this is really unfortunate, is you can sexually transmit Brazil nut to a partner. That is to say, if a male has eaten a Brazil nut and they inseminate a person who is allergic, that person's allergy will be affected by it.
Oh, that's a good murder plot,
isn't it? It is amazing.
I actually feel right in the middle of an episode of House now. Because that is...
Isn't it
how on
extraordinary?
earth has that been found out?
Surely the woman would feel the Brazil nut.
I think you may have slightly misunderstood.
The man would too, really.
Is it like...
May contain nuts! We must ask the QI audience, both the physical one here and those watching it television, to be our experimental cohort. And I want you all to eat Brazil nuts and then make love to your beloveds.
I'll eat the nuts.
Yep. Sean is volunteering
I'm happy to eat the
on
nuts.
that side.
You line up, I'll eat the nuts, and let's check it out.
Right. There you are.
Let's do this.
Let's do this thing for science.
Yeah.
Incidentally, does anyone know, in a packet of mixed nuts, why do the Brazils always rise to the top?
Surely nobody knows that.
You're right. You're right. I'm very impressed. It is a known and observable process that we're in bags of muesli and nuts. The Brazil nuts do seem to go to the top. And scientists have worked hard to try and understand why. At first they thought it was because the little ones settle down through and leave the big ones at the top. You may say, oh, why should they waste their time? There are all kinds of extremely good reasons. For example, sorting rubble after earthquakes and things like that.
I've got to be honest, I've never heard of an earthquake victim being crushed by a load of nuts.
No, nor have I. I'm talking about the science behind the lodgement and the dislodgement of solid objects. Sorry?
You think, because they'd be the heaviest.
I know, it
nut
seems
in the bag,
counterintuitive.
Because
yes.
in your box of muesli, it's the larger items, for example, the currants, go to the bottom.
Yeah.
You get a lot of currants in the last portion.
You do, don't you? The fact is, nobody knows precisely why it happens, but it does seem to be an observable phenomenon.
But if you get almonds in mixed nuts, I find they rise to the top above the Brazil nuts. And I'm starting to think it could be alphabetical order.
Almonds, Brazils, cashews, dates maybe, and so on.
Walnuts at the bottom.
And walnuts right at the bottom, yeah. Good. We're all doing extremely well.